I found this quote when I was getting ready for the show today. The newspaper headlines may shout about global warming, extinctions of living species, the devastation of rainforests, and other worldwide catastrophes, but Americans evince a striking complacency when it comes to their everyday environment and the growing calamity that it represents. That's a quote from a book that came out in '93 called The Geography of Nowhere. In your latest article for Jacobin, you use your native Texas to paint a picture of what will befall us if we continue to keep a liberal, market-based framework to fight the effects of climate catastrophe. What was the first thing that hit you when you got back home that kind of brought this to your attention?
Well, I mean, obviously, as somebody who's been on the left for a while, like I've been thinking about climate and different ways that we can win something like a Green New Deal for a good while. But for me, with this, I'll just like put my cards on the table where I think I'm like a lot of leftists and socialists, where when it comes to like the secondary analysis of this stuff, you're just sort of like, I support the good policy against the bad climate policy, like not really thinking through what a transition would start to look like. And I remember being really moved by Bernie Sanders' Green New Deal in particular. Not only the boldness of the plan, but the fact that it had such a commitment to the just transition, which, you know, for people who aren't familiar, is the commitment to people who are working in the energy industry, that climate policy is not going to come at your expense, that you'll be taken care of and provided for, and hopefully even better off under, you know, a Green New Deal style policy. Um, you know, so that's sort of where I was at. But I remember I was at a big rally here in Austin, um, and for the Green New Deal, and there's about like 600, 700 people, and it was a great turnout. We had really great speakers from labor, talking about the need to unionize the solar industry and just feeling really motivated. And then AOC got up and spoke, and she did, you know, a fairly good job. But towards the end, she was sort of going off the cuff, and she started talking a lot about some of the things that she had seen in Puerto Rico about decentralized solar grids. And like, what we need to be doing is decentralizing our power systems so it can be more democratic. And just from everything that I had understood, you know, going into that moment, I was like, hold up, this is not what we want to be doing. We want to be creating democratically controlled large scale utility systems like the TVA. So, you know, really the beginning of this piece, and, you know, this isn't necessarily throw like a lot of shade at AOC. I think that, you know, what she's done popularizing this idea has been really important. And again, this is like an off the cuff remark, but it was sort of a realization that like, there's a lot of people here. We have a lot of energy. We want to do something. And it actually is really important to get involved in that conversation, that debate about what that actually is going to look like. Because we have seen, particularly with, you know, liberals, the Democratic Party in particular, but even look at people like Macron, a lot of the solutions to climate change, the responsibility and the burden really is looking like it's going to fall on the backs of working class people, which is something that as a socialist, I absolutely reject. And I think that we need to be pushing back against. So that was really like what started that, you know, like really taking climate, not necessarily more seriously, because it's not like I wasn't taking seriously before, but really starting to realize that it's not so much like the slogan on the left for a long time has been like, we need to do something about climate change. But I've started to come around to the idea that like, well, it also really does matter what we do about it, and starting to investigate that and starting to look at to what that's going to mean for our future is really important. And just the last thing I'll say on this is like, you know, we need to remember that we are demanding something big, and we're right to demand it, right? Moving off of fossil fuels, but that's the system that keeps the lights on. That's the system that, you know, heats your home, that you use to cook your food. And we really do need to be thinking about what that's going to look like, instead of just sort of accepting whoever was sort of there before, to decide that for us. Because, you know, particularly this fixation on market-based solutions could very well lead us into an equally, if not more difficult place in the near future.
Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe on your way out. You can catch the live stream of This is Revolution every Tuesday through Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific Time and Saturday, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. This is Revolution.